have that goal?
Probably middle of the pack. I think people outside of our program think we lost a bunch, and it's going to be hard to replace that internally. Within the program, we feel that's what college sports does. You lose people, and it's opportunity for somebody else. And I like the group. Nobody's pushed back yet, John. You've heard me say that before. And until somebody does, until adversity hits, until the lineup goes up for real, and this guy's on it and that guy isn't, and that creates the internal stuff. We won't know how this group's going to deal with adversity, but I'm assuming that the media and the coaches within our league think we lost a bunch and that we'll be a middle of the pack team. That's not what we think. Don't get me wrong on that.
I was going to say, are you willing to spill your vote, or can you talk a little bit about?
Well, I don't vote for my own team, so I don't have a vote on that. The expectations within this program are to win 20 games and to compete and win a championship every year, and that's no different this year, regardless of who we lost. I feel strongly that that's what college sports is. Everyone talks about what you lost. Well, it's an opportunity for somebody else. Before Chris Nell was here, or when Chris Nell first got here, he was unproven and he needed an opportunity and he earned it and took advantage of it. Well, now that's going to be up to Bednard and Dopp. So all I'm talking about is you lose Walker, you lose Friedman, that's opportunity for somebody else. You lose Nell and Net, that's opportunity for somebody else. The forwards we lost, all those guys were good forwards, but we've got good forwards coming back. So I just, to answer your question, it was, what do I think the polls are going to say? I think the expectations outside of our program are middle of the pack. Inside the program, expectations are extremely high, just like they have been the last few years.
Who are guys that you're expecting or who need to take a step up to meet those?
Well, there's some guys that need to play better than they did last year, but I think where you start with our group is Mitchell McLean. I mean, he'll be our senior captain. He was a first-team all-league player last year. Kind of snuck up on people probably outside our program, not internally. He was a guy that we expected big things from. It's kind of that next wave of guys that last year I don't think were consistent enough. And you look at, I think Dufour had 17 or 18 goals. We need to replace that. You know, between Walker and Friedman, that's 50 points in the back end. We're not looking to replace that on the back end. We're looking to replace that up front. And there are some guys that were brought in here to be offensive people that haven't been that yet. Now, they're going to have an opportunity to be that, and we're going to need them to be that. But I feel like where the team starts in terms of who do you lean on? You lean on Mitchell McLean as a senior captain. And then you look at that senior class. That class started as 11. It's now down to 4. Those guys have been through a bunch. I think at some level they'll all be contributing. We'll look at those guys. And then you go to the juniors and so on. But as always, I feel like this group will go as far as the senior class takes them. And our message to them is, what do you want your mark to be on this program?
Last year we had this meeting, Coach. Obviously the expectations were so high going into the season. Finished strong, struggled a bit throughout the year. Do you think the biggest struggle with last year's team was overcoming that adversity that you just talked about and hoping they can do a better job this year?
Yeah, you know, in reflection over the summer, I think that the start really hurt our group, and that started in our fitness test. And then we had a player leave our program the day before our season started. We had an off-ice situation with one of our players with a family member. And next thing you know, we're looking at November 1st at 1-7-1 or 1-6-1, something like that, for a team that was picked to win the league. It seemed to kind of be indifferent from then until just before the playoffs, and then we seemed to right the ship. The players seemed to right the ship for sure. I think the reflection and what I came up with is I need to do a better job of leading the program through those times. I don't think I was much of a leader and a guy that they could lean on. And you tell us what to do, coach, and we're going to do it. And I think I was feeling sorry for myself. And ultimately, I think the players followed, and we couldn't write it quick enough. And then all of a sudden, you're down to late in the season, and you've got to scramble for home ice. And then once we got that, we seemed to write it and play well at the end. But that's not acceptable. That's something that has to change. It's going to start with me. I think it's going to be easier said than done where I'm concerned, because I want perfection every day, and that's just not fair. It's not real. I need to do a better job of leading this program on a daily basis, because I think we've got a bunch of kids that'll follow, and that means truly leaving yesterday there and learning from it, and not worrying about tomorrow and being all in today. And I let results, I let things that were happening not on the ice but off get in the way of how I was leading the program last year. And that cannot happen. It's not acceptable, as I said. And my intentions is that's not going to happen again. So hopefully we can get through adversity better, because it's coming. Is it coming in injury? Is it coming in people leaving the program? Is it coming in not playing well? Probably. Hopefully not all of the above, but it's coming. And I think you get judged on, and you pursue, and you succeed based on how you deal with adversity. And hopefully, again, it's not bad adversity, but it's college athletic stuff, and these guys are young guys. And they're looking at me on, how do we get through today, coach, because yesterday didn't go well, or whatever. And I can do a better job with that, and I will.
How much did making that playoff run help this group? At least get the experience of what, and the taste in your mouth of being that close?
Well, I'm going to say that I hope it helped it a bunch. The way our team performed down the stretch was something I was extremely proud of. The way we performed in that championship game was something I was extremely proud of. I think it left a poor taste in their mouth, and I hope it did. Those are the expectations. The way the season went was not the expectation. The way the season ended, we expect to be in those games. And in a double overtime game, in a coin toss in their building, what are you going to, I mean, that's sports, right? Someone has to lose. Unfortunately, last year it was us. But I hope it leaves a really strong taste that we don't want that to happen again. We want to be in that situation. We want to be in that situation in our building. Hopefully all of those things are things that our guys are somewhere remembering, so we can put ourselves back in that situation again, knowing that it's going to be very difficult. I mean, we think about, going to Bemidji and having to win a playoff series there. Like there was a bunch of things that had to happen for us to get to that game. So our focus is, that's the expectation. So let's make sure we take care of today and not worry about the rest. And I think this group is there mindset-wise, that this is where we should be, this is where we want to be, this is where we expect to be. And it'll come down to, again, how we deal with the ups and downs of the season.
And how much more helpful is it to have two preseason games instead of just one like last year?
Well, how's it going, Zane? I haven't seen you in a while. You doing all right? You had a good summer?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, if we look at last year, we had a little incident in our preseason game, which cost us some players for that first game at Bemidji, which started a snowball that we couldn't get ourselves out of until the end of the year. So I'm hoping, first of all, there's no incident. And secondly, that two exhibition games will allow us to get our game kind of sort of right, heading in the right direction before we go to Kalamazoo on that Tuesday in October to play Western, who's going to be a great team. And then, then we have Michigan State here for the homecoming weekend. So I think it's going to help, Zane. These kids want to play. They want to play somebody else. They're sick of playing each other. It's that time of year where it's getting crusty out there, and there's lots of chatter, and guys are under each other's skin a little bit because they've been playing against each other for the full month of September. So I think anytime you can play a game, exhibition or not, it's a good thing. And the fact that we have two exhibition games this year, that'll be good.
With a lot of young talent now in your program this year, I guess how important is it for that to develop quickly? I assume you're expecting some of those guys to have some sort of impact.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about the young, first of all, let's say they're young players. We'll see what kind of talent they have when what they do with their opportunity. They're going to be put in situations, with the exception of one or two, these aren't true freshmen, right? These are guys that go play a year or two of juniors. So we're talking about 18, 19, sometimes 20-year-old freshmen. We're trying to put them in situations where they can succeed. We're trying to put them in situations where they will make an impact. Are we going to need them to do that? Yes. I mean, we've got a couple of guys in the back end. We've got a goaltender. We've got a handful of guys up front, but up front is probably where we're the deepest in terms of returning guys. I think they're going to need to play, and they're going to need to make an impact. What does that mean ultimately? We'll see. But I think, as any coach would say, it's tough to rush these kids, right? I mean, it's tough to put them in a situation that you don't know what you don't know, and that difference, basically the consistency day in and day out is hard because it's a long year. I mean, normally some of these freshmen have played 10 games to this point in their junior careers, where we haven't played a game yet, and it feels like we've been practicing forever, and that's obviously not the case. So we're gonna throw them in the fire a little bit, but we're not gonna depend on them any more than we would depend on any freshman any year. So I'm expecting them to contribute. And the focus is some type of consistency on a daily basis. That's what we're telling them.
Coach, we talked last year about there was a lot of pressure on Chris and the net. A lot of games went 2-1, 2-0, 3-2. Are you expecting? Should the fans expect more open 6-5 kind of games this year? Are you telling your forwards that because you don't have Chris Nell in the back end now?
No, absolutely not. I think. My personal opinion is defending is something that you can teach, and scoring is something that's very difficult. I'm not downplaying what defending is, but that's something that I think it's a decision, and we are going to defend. And again, make no mistake about it, Ryan Bednar and Eric Dopp are capable. Ryan's a draft pick of the Florida Panthers. Eric is a kid that wants to be great. Very similar to what Chris was like when he came in as a freshman. So Ryan's just a little unproven. Eric hasn't been here before, so he's a lot unproven. We're going to defend hard. I would love our offense to create 4 and 5 goals a game, but forget about this 6-5 stuff. I want that to be 4 or 5-1 or nothing. But we'll have to see. I want our power play to be better. I want our penalty kill to be better than it was a year ago. I think ultimately we can defend at a little bit better level, although I thought we defended pretty good last year. We want to create more offense 5-on-5. And when you lose Mark and Sean on the back end, it's going to be difficult because creating 5-on-5 offense is hard without having your defense involved. And I'm not downplaying the defensemen we have returning. We'll have to see. That's all part of learning what this 17-18 group is going to be about, and who are guys that have taken their game from a sophomore or a freshman or a junior level to the next year level. I think for me a little bit, I don't know what I don't know with this group. And it's going to take on a personality of its own. I'm hoping, again, that there's improvement in some of these areas that I'm talking about. I don't see any reason why there won't be. We'll know more when the puck drops here on Sunday and we've got somebody in other uniforms. But I don't expect our mindset and our mentality to change when it comes to how we want to play the game. Defend, and we're going to have enough guys to create offense.
You mentioned a couple times the loss of Friedman and Walker, what it means offensively. Can you talk a little bit about what it means to this group defensively and who has to step up?
Well, I think the collective unit has to step up. That's the coach speaking me. You look at there's 3 juniors back there. Adam's a semester. He joined us at Christmas time, but you've got Polkamp, McDonald, and Adam Smith. Alec Rauhauser played a bunch of hockey. I think Jake Dalton's a guy that really will take a step from freshman year to sophomore year. So those 5 guys. Those are all kids that played in the championship game last year. They all contributed. They were part of something. And we don't see any reason why that group isn't a really strong group back there. It may not be as offensive because we want them to play their strengths and all that kind of stuff. We don't want them to try to be somebody they're not, somebody we lost. That's where we're going to look up front for some of that that extra scoring. But I think as a group back there, we're going to be fine. And then we've added 2 freshmen that, if early indications say anything, I mean, Justin Wells is a prospect, professional hockey. He's 6'4", he can skate. And Carson Musser is a kid that works really hard, came in great shape. They're both fit. I'm good with the group. I just it'll be interesting to see again how those guys have taken their game from where it ended last year to where it's going to be this year.
Are you looking forward to those 2 games against Miami? Will that be a little extra special for you?
Well, we've had them on our schedule. I mean, I've said this before. The first couple of years was difficult because I didn't think we were overly competitive with them. But now that we've been here, 7 years, and this is our 8th year, it is back to being special again. Barry has ties there as well. So the 2 of us, last year we were there for 2. This year they come here for 2. I think big picture wise, it's good business for Miami to be on our schedule, for Western Michigan to be on our schedule as Mid-American Conference rival schools. I mean, there's 3 Division I hockey programs in the Mid-American Conference, and right now we're not in the same league. I know where your question. I know what you mean, and I like playing Miami. Those are people I know. It's a place that I spent a lot of time at, and I'm fond of. And I think again, it's good business that they're on our schedule. So I'm happy they're coming here.
Scheduling getting easier, Coach? Everybody wants to see the old rivalries, of course.
I do think it's getting easier. I think the dust has settled now, and a couple people up the road seem a little more open to conversations of home and home, as we see with Michigan State this year. I've had some conversations with Notre Dame. I've had some conversations with Michigan. Ohio State has been outstanding. Western and Miami should be, and I believe are going to be, mainstays because it's good business. It's what our fans want to see. It's who we should be playing against. Has it gotten easier? The toughest part, Clint, for me is piecing the puzzle together of when to play. Because our league is so spread out, the league wants more weekends for conference play, which makes it difficult. You want to get your non-conference stuff done preseason and holiday time, and sometimes that's difficult. So opponents doesn't seem to be that big of a deal as much as it is when. I think it says a little something about our program, about BGSU, and the history of hockey here, that some of these programs that I'm talking about want to play us. And that's a good thing. So it's just a matter of piecing the puzzle together of when.
I know the start of your league schedule is still a couple of weeks away, but if I looked at it correctly, you have not just a bunch of home games to start, but quality home opponents. I don't know, Minnesota State.
Yeah, no,
exactly. Would you talk a little bit about the importance of getting off to a good start?
Yeah, well, if using last year as our example of what not to do, getting off to a bad start with the Bemidji State series, you asked me about the poll. I think to a man in our league, Minnesota State's going to be the team to beat. They're going to be the #1 team when the polls come out, and we've got them 4 times in the first month or something, 1 here or 2 here and 2 there. So we're going to have a nice measuring stick early. But I do think it's important to get off to a good start, because last year we didn't, and it sucked, and we didn't like that. So we need to change it. And you need to take advantage of your home games. There's no doubt about that, and we have a bunch. It is an example of what's difficult about scheduling in the league like this, as spread out as we are. But we've got a bunch of league stuff at home, and then we've got a bunch of league stuff on the road the second half. So I think it's important to get off to a good start. But does that make those games more important than these games? No. It's just important to get on to a good start because we're playing some top-level competition.
And what are you looking for from Wilfrid Laurier, if you had a chance to look at them yet?
No, I mean, we're not going to get tape on them. They're going to play Western Michigan on Saturday night, and then we'll turn around and play us on Sunday afternoon. I'm expecting them to work really hard, and we may be able to get some video from Western and get some clips of that. But we'll see probably really good goaltending, probably a bunch of guys that want to come to the U.S. and knock these kids off. I mean, that's usually what you get. What I'm hoping is that it's not quite as heated as last year's game was, so it turns into something ugly at the end. And I'm going to do anything in my power to make sure that doesn't happen. But it's again, Zane, for me, and for these players, it's an opportunity to play against somebody else and put all the hard work from basically the last game last year at Michigan Tech to today or to Sunday, we can see where we're at. You know, with the summer they've had, with the fall we've had together as in terms of our training camp, we'll see where we are. So I'm expecting a highly contested game like they normally are.
How has the goalie situation shaken out so far? And I guess how you approach that early on?
Well, I can tell you this. I think I've seen you don't know what you don't know with Eric Dopp and Brett Rich, who's a local guy. Ryan seems to have a whole new focus this year. You can tell that he feels like, and I think he's acting like he wants to be the man. You know, now that Chris is gone, he doesn't have to worry about being Chris's backup. He's been really good, and Eric Dopp has been really good. So I think people have seen this before when we started with him and Anino. I don't necessarily think we're going to hand the reins to one person. I don't see why we can't have two number one goalies, and I think we've recruited them both to be number one type guys, and then Brett Rich to be support of those two guys. That's the way I'd like it to shake out, quite honestly. I'd like it to be a 1-1. And in my experience, there's been some success with that. We've taken a 1-1 situation to, you know, the Frozen Four before, and not necessarily here, but where I was before. And that's something that I believe can work. It is a position where one guy can play, but you've recruited two guys to play. So until somebody says that they're not good enough or too good to be in a 1-1 situation, I'd like to start with a 1-1 and see where that takes us. I'm not painting myself into a corner. We haven't made the decision yet of what we're doing, but I'm happy with where the goaltending is.